Now, our next contributor is Deputy Holly Kearns, please.
Thank you, Chair Corliffe. First of all, Minister, could you please clarify from the outset if you intend to accept any of the amendments offered by myself and my colleagues today?
The Minister will clarify his position when we call on him, and we'll be doing that when we have this round of contributors completed. Okay,
well, I'd appreciate that. A few weeks ago... Sorry? Yeah, a few weeks ago I sat through a 3-hour debate on the forestry bill. The government didn't accept even one of the amendments of the over 100 that we submitted, and it was only towards the end that I actually asked had they any plans to do that, and it transpired that they didn't. So I was just curious to know what will be the case. You won't be accepting amendments?
So you don't wish to contribute then, Deputy?
I might later. I just wanted to clarify that on the outset.
All right,
Thank
no,
you.
that's fine. We'll come back to you if that's fine. Deputy Joan Collins, please.
Colleague Kearns is the first speaker.
Thank you, Chair. I suppose since we know that the Minister won't be taking any amendments today, this is more just for the record. I suppose that's the only thing we can do. And in relation to the amendments that you just moved, there's been a lot of reference to Dr. Maeve O'Rourke's article in the Journal today, and I'd like to put some of that on the record today. So the first one, to ensure that the Minister receives a full copy of the Commission's entire archive, including a copy of the part of the archive that is sent to TUSLA. And that amendment is very welcome. Thank you for including it. The other one is to allow the Commission to continue to operate until February 2021, although it will still deliver its final report by the end of October 2020, so that it can contact all of those who gave evidence to the confidential committee to ask whether they would like the Commission to redact their personal data from its archive prior to the Commission depositing the archive with the Minister. Regarding this amendment, the Commission or Government should give those affected by the abuses under the investigation a choice as to whether they wish to be identified in their transcript of evidence in the Commission's archive. However, this amendment is not the way to achieve that. The Commission and the Government should be applying the framework of the EU General Data Protection Regulation, which gives individuals many rights in respect of their personal data, including the right to be informed, the right of access, the right to rectification, the right to erasure, and the right to object to data processing. It makes no sense to single out one of these rights and to leave out the rest, including the immediate right of subject access to personal data held by the Commission. I think there's a lot of, arguments coming from the Minister and your department that people are sick of hearing, and Dr. Maeve O'Rourke did an amazing job of debunking these arguments today, and I'd just briefly like to go through a few of them as well. One of them is that the legislation needs to pass by the 30th October or the database will be destroyed or somehow disappear. Nobody knows exactly why the Commission feels that it will have to destroy the database. The Commission appears to believe that it can't deliver personal data to the Minister, despite Section 43 of the 2004 Act explicitly stating that every Commission of Investigation has to give every document or piece of evidence gathered or created by it to the relevant Minister on concluding its work. The GDPR came in 2018, but it poses no barrier to the transfer of this data to the Minister. Another argument we keep hearing is this legislation is not about sealing the archive. The Commission was established under the Commissions of Investigation Act 2004, which requires that evidence is private and sealed for 30 years. The public disquiet is about sealing. This is coming from the repeated briefings by you and your department on the bill and statements in the Shannon from you that say this. Because you keep stating that it will seal the archives for 30 years, everything you see from the Commission, the public are campaigning for you to amend this bill to make clear and for you to say that you won't, just to put that into the bill. If you won't, why not put it in? Neither the Commission nor the Government is permitted under the GPR to place a blanket seal over the entire archive it holds anyway. There's another argument that I think is worth dispelling as well. Another one is that people gave evidence under assurances that the archive would be sealed, and you're concerned about them. Now, nobody has asked for the testimony of vulnerable people to be revealed to the public. We have asked that you give individuals access to their own transcript of evidence and their own personal and family records. I'll do one more, and then I would just encourage anybody who's listening to please read Dr. Maeve O'Rourke's article today. But there's one more that I think it's important to note, and that is the argument that adoption information and tracing will be addressed by a much broader piece of legislation which the Minister will be bringing forward in the near future. The Commission and Minister still can't avoid EU law which requires them to implement GDPR rights in relation to the archives they hold. It is also important to note that the Commission of Investigation has gathered personal data that goes beyond adoption files. And Minister, obviously we know you're not going to take any amendments on today, and I find it difficult to believe that you aren't finding it hard to push through this legislation, and particularly like other deputies have said, when we could just postpone it. At the very least, would you please consider doing that? The least this legislation deserves, and survivors deserve, is that this bill goes through proper pre-legislative scrutiny, and we all know that you can do that. There's no reason why you wouldn't.
Thanks, Deputy. Deputy Katherine Connolly.